Hi, this is Mark Carrington from markcarrington.com. I suffer from shiny object syndrome. What does that mean? It means in the world of internet marketing, I'm always buying internet marketing products, programs, tools, software, done-for-you services. And I buy them because I can see where they fit into my business idea or my internet marketing idea, and then I don't use them. So it becomes a syndrome when you buy stuff that you don't use. So in the Quick Start Challenge, which I'm participating in, we're in week 3, about to start week 3. A number of people have talked about shiny object syndrome. So what I talk about here is what are the tools and techniques that you can apply to protect yourself from the syndrome. And the syndrome is driven very strongly by the very capable selling techniques that internet marketers have worked out how to use. So curing the syndrome is about protecting yourself from those techniques. And there are 2 avenues for cure. One is to understand what your strategic framework is. And most of the sellers don't actually have a strategic framework, or they can't articulate what their strategic framework is, and it's always going to be different to yours. And then the second part of it is the need to take action. Is you only have shiny object syndrome if you've bought stuff that you don't use. It's not a syndrome, it's not a problem if you've bought stuff and you actually use it. Quite different if you've bought stuff and it's rubbish, but that's another story. Let's talk then about strategic framework. I've spent 25 years working as a management consultant. I'm always trying to visualize how a strategic framework might also. What's the big picture? How do we get from the big picture? And this picture over here was developed with a bunch of friends after an internet marketing seminar in 2014. It was done on a table napkin, and it's quite simple. It has 2 parts. What internet marketing about is developing an idea and then delivering that idea. So delivering the promise, and to keep this running in something of an engine, so it keeps going round and around and it keeps going, and then you keep changing it by feeding stuff in from the front. The 3 important ingredients that go into developing the idea is whatever the skills are that you can bring to bear. They don't have to be yours, they can be outsourced. Whatever knowledge you can bring to bear, doesn't have to be your knowledge, it can be outsourced, it can be somebody else's, it can be bought in. And bringing a passion or an interest. And many internet marketers tell you the importance of trying to do stuff with passion. I have a passion for cycling, so I have an internet marketing businesses in cycling because I can write about that stuff more easily. But quite frankly, you can buy that in as well. So some combination of these 3 things come together. You have to add them together and come together, and the first thing you want is a strategic focus. So what is the focus that I'm going to do at the top level? So what sort of broad needs am I going to be servicing? And that then must boil down to a product focus, so specific products, and what am I actually going to be selling? Then we'll talk about the 3 buckets that I've put underneath the deliver the promise side. And I've just labeled them Internet Marketing Engine because it sounds cool. But this is all, internet is about the platforms. It's about the technologies. So whether it's a blogging platform, a social media platform, a video platform, or podcasting platform, or a platform yet to be invented, it's about platforms. Marketing is all about identifying customers, reaching customers, and getting your message to them. And the engine is all about this process here of just churning it over and over and over again. So automating it, project managing it, making sure that it happens. So this is the broad strategic framework that I use. So if my strategic focus I'll take it by example. One of the things I had is that I was going to sell as an affiliate products that I use in my internet marketing business. So my strategic focus is affiliate marketing of the tools that I use and find valuable. The product focus then gets answered down in the detail here on which particular products that are actually useful as you work through the engine. Now, as you can imagine, the internet marketing sellers have a lot of applications, programs, software tools underneath here. So on the next chart, I've just listed a bunch of things that you're going to need under each of these channels, each of these broad subject areas, where it's domains, hosting, blogging, platforms, autoresponders, and the lists go down. And there'll be many more items than this. That's a long list of things down here and a long list of things down here. The engine ones starts getting into how do you get people to do work for you as well. So it includes virtual assistants and outtasking and outsourcing. It includes project management, includes things like content distribution. You create the content up here or appear in your copywriting, and then you say, how do I distribute that all the way? It talks about sales and traffic and all of those things. So it's very easy to see how shiny object syndrome starts to take place. And I have, now I can go sit there and tell you, I have bought things in every single one of these areas. Every single one. We just go logos, competitor analysis, copywriting, keywords, content management, search. Everywhere we go, I haven't done this one yet, but everywhere we go, I have bought stuff. And my businesses are actually, they're hardly off the ground. So I've certainly suffered from shiny object syndrome to the tune of maybe $50,000 or maybe even more. So now let's step back to the Quick Start Challenge. And let's just talk about where we are at the start of week 3. So here we are, the Quick Start Challenge. We've completed week 1, we've completed week 2, and what we have done is we've spent some time dealing with identifying. Dean talked right out on the first day, is how to organize your time, how to carve out 2 or 3 hours a day so that you know what you're going to do in the day and that you actually do them. He talked about, last week we talked about our dream lifestyle. Part of that is to tell us how big this thing needs to be or how small this needs to be, so how much money it needs to create. That's helpful for telling us too is how much money we're allowed to spend over here on this side. Haven't talked too much about strategic focus, product focus, other than we've talked about strategic focus is writing about your story. So we have got a strategic focus because we say if we're talking about my story, eventually I'm going to be reaching out to people who can relate to my story or in a similar situation. So we're starting to see the threads. I'm starting to see the threads of a strategic focus. How we choose to turn those to particular product focuses is still to be discovered. And I know, one of my threads is I'm going to be selling the tools that I use. And then we've talked about basically only needing to buy 4 things. We need a domain, so we've got to go and find a domain to register. We need hosting to register our website. We've chosen a blog platform. Most of that is free because we're using WordPress, but some of the elements inside there we may have needed to buy if we wanted a particular theme or we wanted a particular security plugin and we needed to buy it. And we're not ready to use autoresponder, but the video tutorials have talked about putting in that list building box, and we're going to be talking about list building in week 3. So we know that we need to buy an autoresponder. Did we need to buy one this week? Not really. We could have postponed that until we really need to next week. And then, so what that tells me, the model for curing shiny object syndrome for the Quick Start Challenge is don't buy anything else. It's as simple as that. We're not ready. We haven't got focus. We don't know what tools we need, and we certainly have no idea of how much we should spend either. So there's the cure for shiny object syndrome. Now I'm going to walk through step by step how I've gone about dealing with curing my shiny object syndrome. I've only bought two pieces of stuff this year, both of which were related to the Quick Start Challenge. So the first one is to use the strategic framework and say, what do I need? So we know that we needed a blogging platform, domains, hosting, and autoresponder. When do I need it? Well, we needed it last week for the blogging side, for the platform and the hosting side. The autoresponder we actually only really needed this week, so we could have not bought or committed to buying it until we really need it. What have I got already? So for me, I already had registered a domain in markcarrington.com. I bought it 2 years ago. So I go and dig it out, find out where it is, and start deploying it. Can I do without it? That was a good question, because I actually have a blog already started on markcarrington.net. So I could actually have gone without doing markcarrington.com, but I already bought it so I could use it. And what value does the tool or the service add to what I'm doing? So does it save me time? Which brings me to the next bullet point down is, can I outsource it? And this is probably the area where I have the biggest weakness, is that I'm a strong believer in my own capabilities, and I land up doing too many jobs. So if you can outsource it, so we take video production as an example. If I can outsource video production to someone, they can buy the software. They can buy the tools, and they can buy all the training. I don't actually have to do it. All I have to do is understand what the nature of the job is and outsource it. So those are using the strategic framework is basically buying stuff when you need it and you know it's going to add value. So let's go down onto the second part, is basically stop buying stuff. And you really have to be just ruthless. Stop buying stuff. Now there's some tricks and techniques for doing this, and the first of those is to unsubscribe from all the lists. Unsubscribe from absolutely every single email list that you are on. Be ruthless. Don't worry about losing support emails, because if you need support, you will find it. Just unsubscribe. In time, you will add them back, and you will work out, as you understand your strategic framework, which of the providers out there actually fit in with your framework. And those are the people that you keep talking to, that you will learn to keep talking to. The next bullet point down is use what you have bought. So just go back and to use what you have bought. It may not be the best, super duper, most up-to-date tool, but you've already paid for it. So get out there and use it. What I am aiming to do, and I am doing here, is I will use one a week. So progressively through this program is you will see one new idea pop in a week. So last week I used markcarrington.com. This week I will implement a GDPR data privacy plugin, which is important for European data compliance. So I bought that some time ago, and I will put that into this website first, and then I will progressively add it into my other sites. Third bullet point down is buy only when needed. And I've added in there when it's desperately needed. Just make do. If it's functional and it's working, just make do and buy it only when it's needed. Now this is challenging, because the sellers out there, they are trying to push stuff on you on their own timetables, on their agendas. So they use selling techniques that are very nasty. They're pressure selling techniques. They're called scarcity. So the price is going up, the product's only available for the next 3 hours. It's all designed to part you with your money before you need the product. You may well need the product, but it's before you need the product. So one of the ways to deal with that is to buy evergreen products. So buy products that serve the need that you're trying to satisfy, that are always available. The small side benefit of that is that products that are evergreen tend to be from reliable suppliers that are still going to be around for the long haul. The other way to avoid pressure selling is just wait a week. Just put it off for a whole week. Just say, I'm not going to look at this, I'm going to wait a week. By which time all the pressure's gone. And invariably what you find is a lot of these pressure selling products become available again later on when you're looking for them. So those are the ideas for stopping buying stuff. Just stop buying stuff. Be ruthless. Save your money for when you need it. Save your time for when you've got time. Now, the last part of curing shiny object syndrome is about taking action. Buy a tool, have a plan to use it, and use it. Build it into your time planner. So your time planning or your task planning ahead that says Tuesday is autoresponder day. Buy, learn, deploy, do it. And if you're having trouble, remind yourself of your dream lifestyle, of what your dream lifestyle is trying to do, of how much you're trying to create, how big it needs to be, and how wasteful buying stuff at the wrong time is going to be on your program. Now, the last thing I want to do is I've talked about unsubscribing from all lists, and I just want to cover the tools that I found useful. There's an article I found, it's quite an old article, it's 4 years old, 6 apps to clean up your inbox. What I do know is the top 2 on this list are still valid. There are the 2 that I mentioned, Maelstrom and Unroll Me. Maelstrom is particularly useful, so we go, Maelstrom is up there. It's particularly useful for if you have very large email inboxes. I had 21,000 unread emails in my inbox. I now have 8. Maelstrom was really helpful. It's a paid service, $49.95 a year or $4.95 a month. And then Unroll Me is the other service, which will basically take your subscription list, show you what they are, list them up, and then unsubscribe you from them, and then give you a digest of mails that have come in from other and it's a very powerful tool. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how Maelstrom works. So Maelstrom works on any IMAP service. I use a private email provider. The default is you can view messages by sender. So this is my inbox. The largest number of emails that have come in are from Lorraine Carrington, who's my wife. So there's 584 emails. That's no real surprise. And you can just go down the list and see who the emails have come from. The unsubscribe list is a bit further down, and it lists all of the lists that I am currently still on. So I've unsubscribed from a lot of lists. So there's a Buy PLR Today list from A. Weber. It's PLR from Sue Fleckenstein. I buy quite a bit of PLR from Sue. Do I do baby gear? No. Do I do paleo diet? Yes. And we'll just go down there, and you can see the whole list in front, and you can delete any ones that you want. You can say I actually want to delete the oldest ones, and you can just pick them manually, or you can actually just hit the unsubscribe button or the delete button. So if we go down the list a bit, and you can see that I've actually nailed this list pretty strongly. I've only got they're 20 or 30, but you'll see some residual little lists. I've no idea what this list is. It tells me what the name is, and I can see it. This is from Richard Ellis, who looks after the Electronium coin. Am I still interested in his stuff? Yes, I am. Or do I need to read any of these emails? There are 1 or 2 that I would like to use. I can read. I can go and I can list them. So if we go to, then we can just go down the list and decide which ones I want to unsubscribe from. So news and special offers. I've no idea who this is. This name is meaningless to me. News and special offers, meaningless to me. But as soon as I go and look in here, it says, do you want to, and these are relatively new lists. It's got the dates in here, but I can just hit the unsubscribe button and it'll do the unsubscribe for me. So that's just a very powerful tool. I will put the link down in the description below for that article and also for Maelstrom. And I hope this video has been helpful in helping you start to take steps to cure your shiny object syndrome. Thank you and good day.